What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. That's Tiara, who just led our cheerleading and leads our opening dance. Thank you so much, Tiara. That's really, really fun. Thank you. And I am Love Coach Scott Katamas. Welcome to the Awakening World, our Wednesday night edition and the first official show of our new spring season. We're starting a brand new season right now. And I wanted to make sure that it was a show that really had a lot to offer each and every one of you. And so I've invited not one, not two, not three, but four wise women, each of whom I have a lot of respect for, to share their wisdom. And we're going to start with Raquel Spring, who is, of course, our favorite astrologer, one of our most beloved members of the Global Peace Tribe. I think we've done probably 6 or 7 shows together now. Yeah, and there is this big eclipse coming up, and Raquel is going to help us understand how to work with that energy. So welcome, Raquel. We're excited to have you with us. And we also have a new friend, well, not really new. It's her first time presenting on Awakening World. This is Donna Martine, but she's been watching the show ever since we started 4 years ago. So we're really looking forward to learning from Donna all about her wisdom as a coach. And our beloved Tiara, not only is she the cheerleader and dance mover, but we're going to learn all about her wisdom around the need for spiritual diversity and really bringing spiritual diversity into education. And then also joining me in a few minutes will be Lori Grace, teaching us all about compassionate communication. I want to also encourage all of you to join the Global Peace Tribe if you haven't done that already. And it's really easy to do that. And this is a good time to do that because, as I said, it's the start of a new season. What does that mean? It means that if you join now, you're going to get the links to all of our shows for the next 3 months, all the way through June 30th. For those of you who don't know, we do a show every Wednesday night and every Saturday night. Plus, we are now doing hybrid events, meaning it's where I'm co-hosting a live event, either in Ashland, Oregon, or Marin County, or Sebastopol, California, and then live streaming it. And in April, we've got 4 hybrid experiences coming up, including a Fantuzzi concert, a government disclosure UFO program, a 3-hour interview with the Twin Ray, and a program that we'll be talking about with Lori Grace. We'll be sitting here in a few minutes, all about cancer and alternative cancer treatment. So it's a good time to join the Global Peace Tribe. How do you do that? You go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, learn all about us. You can, scroll around and learn about who we are and what we do. And then click where it says register for the new season. That'll take you to our registration page and you can join us. And it's really easy to do that. So now is a good time to do that. One of the things we also provide always on The Awakening World is live music. Well, almost always live music. Of course, Omar Shar, who's really my other partner in this, is almost always here, except for the next 2 weeks. He is visiting his mother in England. But he has sent videos, so we can still have Omar Shar music to get us going. So here is a wonderful Omar Shar video that he sent us. And get ready to move and groove. I see Reverend Jeffrey is here, so I know he'll lead the dancing along with DR and the rest of you. Here is Omar Shar.
The rose that blooms in the lover's heart, the open rose of this brand new start, and freedom comes with letting go. Life renewed, new seeds to sow. Take my hand, I'm with you now. Relax yourself, your furrowed brow. So say hello. No looking back, onward we go. This is the light awaiting us. With family supporting us, the sword of truth has cleared the way for us to rise a brand new day. New mountains, peaks for us to climb, new roads to walk, no reason why. It's time to smile and be as one. All of life, a golden sun. This is the light awaiting us, with family supporting us. The sword of truth has cleared the way for us.
Yay! Let's all give a twinkle to Omashar and just imagine sending lots and lots of love to his mother, who he's in England with. So let's just take a moment and send maximum grace to Omashar and his beloved mother in England as she's preparing to make her transition. Maximum grace to beloved Omashar. Maximum grace. Thank you, everybody. And here's Lori, who we'll be hearing from in a little bit. You know, speaking of maximum grace for passages, just before we introduce Raquel, I just want to acknowledge that today was the memorial service for Sadiq, who passed away last Wednesday. And it was a very powerful online memorial service. He had a Jewish heritage, so it was very filled with a lot of Jewish ways of honoring someone who has passed. But it was beautiful. It was a beautiful memorial. And for those who knew Sadiq, he came to our Global Peace Tribe retreat in Sedona. He was definitely a big heart who truly wanted to make a difference in the world. And so Sadiq, I'm imagining that you're going to be a great guardian angel for many of us. So thank you very much for your big heart, and wishing him well on his journey, and of course, lots of love to his family. I'm now going to put the spotlight on Raquel Spring, and Raquel she's one of my favorite human beings on the planet. She is a very wise woman who is very dedicated to an awakening world, to raising consciousness. And to introduce her, for those of you who don't know her, I just want to read briefly what she starts her own webpage with, because this really sums up Raquel. She says, "My mission is to help you activate your truth and embody your purpose, whether through astrology, retreats, workshops, private sessions, lectures, presentations. Raquel's passion is to help us all understand our soul's essence and to anchor our purpose in this new age of spiritual consciousness and authentic expression. And she is here to inspire us to tap into our own core truth with clarity and confidence, and to help us align with our highest potential for growth, evolution, and freedom." That's Raquel, and how blessed we are to have you with us tonight. Welcome, Raquel.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Wonderful. Thank you. And a warm welcome to the whole tribe. There are so many people here present. And I love just seeing everybody here in the chat and dancing to the music and just feeling this time together that we have to celebrate this moment.
No,
And I
thank you.
also want to, I also want to welcome everybody that I can't see right now, but that is also watching, and everyone from around the world. We have such a beautiful community here. Beautiful
Yeah,
job, Scott.
oh, well, it's a beautiful thing. And, like, Zoom room, we've got Dorina from Ecuador. We've got people up in Canada. And of course, the majority of people are watching on our broadcast partners. So big welcome to everybody watching on Facebook, on the Conscious Awakening Network, on Steve Farrell's Humanity Rising. Welcome to everybody watching. And Raquel, I'm going to go right into it. Tell us about the portal we're in right now. I've heard some people say it's the equinox, the eclipse wormhole. Some people are calling it the Easter to eclipse time. You're the expert. Tell us about what's going on for us astrologically right now.
Yes, thank you. So I feel like I'm so full of the subject. There's so much happening and so much to share, but I will bring this to the heart and the essence of what is happening and what this means. So I want to invite all of you to relax into this moment. And as you relax, you can feel your heart expanding to receive. Just naturally relaxing into this space and opening your heart to receive this truth. Now, this is information about the upcoming solar eclipse that we have on April 8th. This is a solar eclipse that we are having. And I'm guessing most of you, if not all of you, are aware of this. So astrology is my expertise, and I'm going to speak about this eclipse from an astrological perspective to help to shine some wisdom and some truth to the events in your life. Now, we have several eclipses every year, so it's not an uncommon thing to experience. But there is something to be said about eclipse season. What is eclipse season? They happen in pairs, right? So usually we have one eclipse. For example, the last one happened on a full moon. And then 2 weeks later, we have the next one. So the next one in this case is the new moon. So we have a full moon. 2 weeks later, we have a new moon. And this creates the season of the eclipses. We'll have another eclipse season at the end of the year. And this is common. We have 2 eclipse seasons a year. But this is the first eclipse season that we're having. So it started with a March 25th lunar eclipse. And now we are closing the other part of the eclipse season with the solar eclipse, which happens on a new moon. So the eclipse season in general is a very heightened time. It's very common for there to be a lot of energies that are activated during that time. So events around eclipses, they get more heightened, they get more intense, they get more extreme. So if you take a look around you in your life, you may notice that the energies have been escalating, and it's very normal to have very strong energies at around the time of eclipses. Now, much can be said about the times we're in and about the eclipses, but I want to focus on the main message of this particular solar eclipse. And this solar eclipse that we're having is in the sign of Aries. So I'm going to let that sink in for a moment. There might be some of you here listening to this that have an Aries sun, or maybe you have an Aries moon, or an Aries ascendant. Aries is the sign of this eclipse. But even if you don't have an Aries sun or an Aries moon or an Aries ascendant, we all have the sign of Aries in our chart. Even if there is no planet in the sign of Aries, we still have the influence of Aries in our chart, in our life. And this is how, when these astrological energies are activated, we all feel it. We're all receiving this solar eclipse in Aries. So it's important to notice that the sign of Aries corresponds with new beginnings. The sign of Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac. In astrology, it's where it all begins. The sign of Aries is known for being the beginning of new life. It's a birthing point for creation, for life to exist. So I want to start with that and just be with that for a moment. Because there's something to be said about this stage that we're in right now. And this stage began at the spring equinox. So it was just a couple weeks ago where we had this important threshold. What is this threshold? This threshold that we're in now and this eclipse is activating is the beginning of the next phase. So we've been, these last 3 to 4 years, we've been in a very crucial phase of endings. There's been a big halt to our reality, to many things in our life, many events, many relationships, many dynamics in our life has been stopped in its tracks, and a lot of it has dissolved. Now, astrologically, this has been exactly on time with the schedule. And this threshold right now is so pivotal because it marks the turning point. This is where we're now going to start to look into the next stage of what this transition is all about. Now, we don't go from A to Z. There are steps and there are stages, but this marks the beginning of the next stage. So from here on out, and for the next 3 to even 4 years, we're going to see the second stage, where everything starts to shift very fast. In the first stage, we were just stopped in our tracks, and a lot of things were coming undone. But on this stage, we're now finally ready to start to get the first few glimpses of what lies ahead. So this second stage is a massive turning point, massive turning point. And this is what this eclipse is representing. It's representing that new beginning to the second stage of this transition. So you can feel into that for a moment, because this is going to correspond with many new events. And a big part of these new events has to do with a new reality that you are going to start to call in next. We're all doing this collectively. And in this second stage is the stage of the shifting of massive systems that have been in place for even thousands of years. Certain aspects of our society, aspects of reality that we're now ready to bring in a new dynamic. And this includes, because I know a lot of people here are very interested in this, but this also includes connecting with outer space, with aliens, with life beyond this planet. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. There are many exciting things that are coming in as a part of our new reality. By the end of this decade, we're going to be much more aware of what these new dynamics are going to be. But it is beginning now. And this is the exciting thing. Now, in order for us to reach into this new beginning, we have to go through a very important phase of what this eclipse is all about and what this eclipse is referring to as well. This particular eclipse in Aries. Aries represents fire. And a very important part of what's happening with us now is the aspect of purification of our visions. Aries is also about visions. Aries is the ultimate visionary and leader. And there is something happening right now with the purification of our visions. Because from here forward, we're stepping into a new dynamic, a new reality. And so many things that belong to the first phase and beyond are now being laid to rest. And we're getting ready for a new dynamic, a new reality. So our vision is being purified. And in many ways, tested as well. And not necessarily tested in the sense of, are we going to pass the test, yes or no? It's more of a test in the sense of, is this going with you moving forward? Does this belong with you in the new phase? Are you still feeling that the same way you were feeling it before? Or maybe are you being called into a new dynamic, a different dynamic? So the fire of purification is one thing that is very prevalent right now with this eclipse. There is another aspect of the fire, and especially the fire of Aries, which has to do with action, taking action. Aries is all about taking action. As a matter of fact, Aries is known for being all about action. There's a little joke about Aries that Aries don't think. They don't think, they act, and then they think about it. They act first, and then they think about it. One of the shadow sides of Aries is it can be impulsive because it's all about action. So this is also a time where many of us are being called to take action. And I want you to feel into this because up until now, it hasn't really been a moment of action. It's actually been more a moment of wait and let things go. But from this point forward, there is a dynamic of taking action. You don't need to take full action and have the full mission completed, but there are steps that we are being called to take action on. Maybe it's a move, a relocation, a new study, a new hobby, a new lifestyle, a new diet, a new relationship. There are new things that are calling to us with this energy of new beginning and action. Now, it's important to note that this eclipse is happening conjunct Chiron. Conjunct means that it is very, very close. It's like the solar eclipse is, imagine that the eclipse has a flashlight and there's a lot of different things to shine its light on. Well, the closest thing to this new moon solar eclipse's proximity is Chiron. And this is very important to take into consideration because in astrology, Chiron is known for bringing the wound and the medicine. He is known for being the great healer and also the wounded healer. How many of you can identify with healing paths that you've embarked on due to your own need for healing? I was just speaking to someone the other day that has a whole company nowadays, a whole health company for families. And he started that company because 20 years ago, he had cancer. And so he committed himself to, when he was able to heal himself, he committed himself to helping other people find healing. And this is why Chiron is known for being the wounded healer. He is also known for being a master healer and a master teacher. But he does have his side of wounds. And it does speak about our own wounds and vulnerabilities that are surfacing during this time. So it's very important to acknowledge this because this is the closest thing in proximity of this solar eclipse in Aries is Chiron. And this solar eclipse is highlighting big time this aspect of our wounds that are ready to be healed. Now, before we go out there and we try to heal others, we have to really pay attention because with this eclipse, there is no denying. We're not going to be able to hide the things that are wounding us. And in light of that, I want to invite you right now to really feel into the aspects of your life right now in the last few days, in the last few weeks, and even in the last month that has been progressively getting stronger and stronger and louder, saying, pay attention to me. Hey, I'm here. I'm here. And a practice that I want to guide you through and invite you to practice with me is very simple. There are so many events happening right now where people's emotions are so escalated. Aries is the sign of the warrior. Okay, so I know, I'm very aware, this is one of the shadows of Aries, is that people are very triggered. In general, especially people that don't understand what's happening and that are just kind of on automatic and reacting to the energies, there's a lot of wounds that are coming out. There's a lot of people feeling triggered. And if one person's triggered and says something in one way to another, and then triggers the other, and there goes the domino effect. So we want to be very mindful, because this is one of the shadows of Aries, is to fight, to put on that warrior. And you see people out there that are triggered and wanting to fight and wanting to argue, and that whole combat energy you want to be mindful of. So if you scan through your last few days, your last few weeks, or even maybe today, and notice the people and the things that have triggered you recently. And here's the practice. You can do this both with the events that have passed and also as the events come into your life. As they're happening, they're real time, and you're getting triggered in the moment. Here's what I want you to do. Go inside and ask yourself, what is this bringing from inside of me? What emotion, what feeling, what thought, what belief is this bringing from me? And so this is going to require maturity, because you're not going to stick to the event. This is not about the story. This is not about the person raising their voice or so-and-so forgot to wash his dishes. It's not about that. You're going to go to, okay, beyond the story, how is that making you feel? And you can start with that. How is that situation making you feel? And once you really sit with that, you can then ask yourself, well, what is my belief around that? Because there is some importance there for you. So what is your belief around that? And when you ask yourself those questions, you can really start to get to the bottom of that wound. That ultimately these wounds are surfacing in your life or resurfacing in your life because they want to be heard. They want to be seen. They need to be shifted. And you know, many times, most of the times, just our awareness of it and being like, oh, that's what it is. Instead of thinking, oh, because someone raised their voice at me, you go to the bottom of it. And you say, well, how is that making me feel? What is my belief around that? And just by shining the flashlight on the root cause of it is already liberating you to experience your healing. So this is what I want to share with you right now. And I want to offer this advice, this practice that you can do. Because with the eclipse on Chiron, this is a time for us to really notice everything that we feel vulnerable, tender, insecure, and wounded about. So that we can then go through the process of purification of our vision, strengthening ourselves, strengthening our visions as we prepare to move into a new beginning. We don't want those beliefs from the past to come with us to the new threshold. We don't want that. So the eclipse is all about shining a light, a big, big, big light on what may be holding you back, what may be stopping you from moving forward. And that's why the energies of the eclipse are so strong right now, pointing to Chiron. We need to face our wounds. We need to face our own fears, face all the things that have been holding us back, including within society, which is also going to happen. You may notice that our collective wounds may be more visible, may be more noticeable during this time. But this is exactly so we can shine a light and see what before may have been hidden. There is no more hiding now. The veils are only going to fall more and more and more as the months go on. And this whole next year until the next spring equinox, there's going to be a lot of veils falling. So we need to start with an honest look at ourselves. And not in a right or wrong way, but just a real, honest conversation to see who is really underneath the events that are happening in your life. Who is that wounded child that has been carrying that belief for so long? Because you're ready to liberate that now, and you're ready to let that child free. So you can move into your new beginning with confidence and with freedom. That is the gift in Aries, is confidence, power, and freedom. So this is also what the new moon eclipse is speaking about. It's speaking about that confidence, that bravery, this initiative to look into the future and follow your vision, follow your purpose. So you can only do that when you sit with that tender child that is calling to you right now. So I invite you to take a breath now. All the way through, all the way through. And then whenever you're ready to relax, all the way through, back down. And allow all this information that I just shared with you to sweep through your body, up, down, all the way through. If you find any blockages in your body, any points that may be holding pressure, just continue to breathe all the way through. Breathe the love. Breathe your vision for the future. Breathe healing for yourself and for the world. And all you have to do is breathe all the way through, all the way up, and then all the way down. And you keep doing this, and you'll see that your body will start to relax and open more and more and more. And this can really help you when you're going through those moments of anguish or anxiety or intensity. And as you evaluate and ask yourself these questions about your beliefs, about how you feel, just keep breathing all the way through. All the way through. This is about your freedom. This is about your freedom. So I want to celebrate this solar eclipse in Aries with you and celebrate your freedom.
Beautiful, Raquel. Thank you so much. There's a lot of comments and questions that have come into the chat box, so we don't have time for much. This is just a homeopathic dose of Raquel. But a few of the comments that came in, Raquel, people are really appreciating how you speak slowly and really much time to bring in the information and to digest it. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
several people commented on that. And then also there was comments about the wounded healer. Sylvia talking about how she was writing about it 10 years before even understanding about the wounded healer. Yeah, so there's that. There was a question that I think I do want to ask you. This came from Dorina down in Ecuador, asking how does astrology, and so we'll say specifically the eclipse, how does that impact children or animals? Does it also impact all beings?
Yes, it does. You know, there's something really beautiful about astrology. And that is that everyone has a chart. And not just everyone, but everything as well. Everything in its phase of birth, that new beginning, that point of entrance has a chart. So animals have a chart, children have a chart. We're all connected with the stars. We're all interconnected. So yes, it definitely, animals and children definitely feel it. You know, there is something to be said about the individual charts. So individual people will feel and experience these energies in slightly different ways, in slightly different areas of their life, depending on how their chart is positioned and receiving those energies. But the overall energy of healing is for everybody. This is Chiron, both the wound and also the healing, that is very active for all charts alike.
And thank you for reminding us and encouraging us to really own what's the challenges that we're facing. What are the things, the wounds that are kind of coming forward?
Yeah.
So that was a really beautiful, which again, many people commented on. Reverend Jeffrey wrote something just now. Raquel has an enlightened flow with wisdom for all humanity.
Oh,
That's a beautiful
I
way.
love you. Thank you.
And Susan Bloomquist agrees with you that naming our issue, naming our vulnerability is the first step and can perhaps even create the healing that we seek. So it is important for us to name it all.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, this is just a homeopathic dose of Raquel. And to get much, much more, and we're going to take a look at some of her offerings, go to her website, and it's easy to remember the name of it. It's her name, RaquelSpring.com.
I think that's the About Me. If you want to go to the home is where, yeah, the home page.
There we are. Forward. There you are. No,
RaquelSpring.com.
there we go. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Know your truth, align your purpose, awaken your path to freedom with Raquel. So we're going to scroll down and learn about some of your offerings. Tell us about the mentorship program.
Well, the mentorship program is where we have a really in-depth ongoing experience together with what the planets and what the astrology is doing every month. So we have 2 live workshops a month. We also have weekly, I call them the audio boosters. So I send weekly updates by audio so you can reflect on the energies of every week. So the live mentorship, the mentorship program is a live ongoing community gathering.
Beautiful.
That's what it is.
So people can come in at any time. It doesn't have a necessary start or end date.
Oh, anytime. Yes.
Well,
and that's the next one.
Yeah, this is where I think a lot of our people are going to want to come on in and learn more. So tell us about this.
That is happening this Saturday. This is part of the mentorship program. So all the people that are part of the mentorship program, they access it for free. But people that are not a part of the mentorship program, they can also access that with a one-time pass. So once a month, I have the big theme of the month. This month is the solar eclipse. As you can see, the title is called Shakeups and Breakthroughs. There is a lot to talk about. This is just a sneak preview today. We're going to go really deep in there into the eclipse energies and what that means for you.
Beautiful. I got to say, that's an amazing photograph. That's a very, very beautiful photograph.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, and again, everybody, you go to the website, you can learn about how to join the membership, about the one-time pass. And then you've got your monthly full moon celebrations.
Yes, that's the, oh, that's so interesting. The widget didn't upload. It's okay. There's a little clock that has the countdown for until the next full moon. So the full, there it is. The full moon is a free offering. This happens once a month for all members that want to join, and it happens on the day of the full moon. So we all come together as a community to celebrate the full moon. This is also where we talk about the energies of the month. There's a lot of other events that happen. There's a special guest. There's a raffle that happens with free gifts. There's a lot of exciting and fun things, and that's once a month. It's a free offering for anybody who wants to join. So Yeah, those are the three main ones that I have going on there on that
Right.
page.
Well, one other thing though is how to book a session. And so if you scroll down and you click book your session, do you have time? Are you taking clients on at this time?
I am. I probably won't be for much longer, but I am right now. Yes. And so the book your session is where you get your one-on-one experience with me. So everything you just had a little taste of here, we go even deeper with your astrological chart. So you get a complete message of what the energies are speaking about to you. That's where I take you on a personal journey of all the astrological energies and what they mean for you.
Beautiful. And I want to say I've had the good fortune to get personal work with Raquel, and she's amazing. And she doesn't always, because there's other times you've been on the show that you were not available for book sessions. So catch her while she's available, everybody.
And
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much, Scott. I appreciate everybody here. There's so many people that I've grown familiar with and just grown to love as my own family because I've been so many times on the show. I've also met a couple people at the Conscious Life Expo from the show. So it's a small world. And I feel so close to all of you. Thank you for welcoming me to this show and listening to this message as well.
Thank you so much, Raquel. We love you very much, and we look forward to the next
Love
time
to
we
all.
get with you. Take care. Thank you so much. Well, coming in and out, of course, is our next guest, and this is Lori Grace. And Lori and I go way back. We've been friends almost 40 years now. And she's who first introduced me to Marshall Rosenberg and nonviolent communication. So she really is kind of the grande dame of mastery of compassionate communication. And that's what she'll be talking about today. But I also want to acknowledge she's also an amazing environmental activist. She has a beautiful Haleakua Garden Farm in Maui, where she's creating a completely sustainable model for living that's very beautiful. And she's also done amazing things in the hard world of politics. She took on Pacific Gas and Electric. They had like 100 times the budget that she had, and she still won a very important local election or proposition.
Clean energy.
Marin Clean Energy. Yeah, she helped create clean energy here in Marin. So she's
spread over the whole Bay Area.
Yeah, she's an amazing woman. She's amazing. Now, what I'm going to do so that Zoom knows how to deal with it is I'm going to kind of slip to the side and turn it over to you, Lori, to share all about your wonderful offering today.
Right. I also want to just mention a little bit about my website.
Yeah, we're going to go there at the end. We'll go there at the end, love.
So something that has been totally transformational in my life, starting in 1999, is I became aware of and got introduced to Marshall Rosenberg. And what I love about him, he has passed on, but he went around from country to country to country to country to places where people had created genocide and been able, through using nonviolent communication, to get groups to forgive each other and to understand each other. And that was so remarkable to me. And in this day and age where we have multiple examples of genocide going on, I long for everybody to have these skills. Just to let you know that one of the places that he did go to was Israel and Palestine. And, it shows that nothing lasts all the time. You have to really live it and integrate it to your lifestyle. But he also sent 2 people to Afghanistan, Rwanda, Bosnia, Sri Lanka, Colombia, Northern Ireland, just a few, so and in Afghanistan, he was dealing with the warlords who had also killed many of each other's people. So anyway, I got really excited about a way of communicating that's universal, that you don't have to know English, you don't have to grow up in America, nothing, to be able to understand yourself better and understand other people better. And so so anyway, how this happens is with a understanding of universal needs. Now, where did this get developed? This was Carl Rogers, a humanistic psychologist who was stationed, it was in San Diego, and was able to come up with a list of universal needs that everybody has at one time or another in their life. And that has been so useful for me to understand, and then to understand that our needs generate our emotions. Somebody else can't make me mad. I feel mad or angry because some need of mine isn't met, whether perhaps understanding or compassion, empathy or freedom or justice, any of those and more. And I know that Scott has taken on universal needs in his own his own booklet, as do I have mine. And
Do you want me to
I
bring that
wanted
up
to
now?
I wanted to offer an exercise for people to take a look at needs and to see if you can find a need of yours that is currently being met right now that you really enjoy. And so let's give a little time for that.
Well, while people are looking, certainly my need for community is being met right now in beautiful ways. And also my need for learning from you, learning from Raquel.
Okay, very good. So taking a moment to look at this list and no, you just have to come up with one need, but or two or something, not too many. And then I'm going to have you do a little exercise with that. So that's something right here, right now that's happening. So being in touch. Now, if you are in touch with that need, I'd like you to close your eyes and visualize, if your eyes have been open, to visualize that need currently being met and what kind of emotion comes up for you as you are in tune with this need being met. And should people share or what?
Sure. Do you want people to put in the chat box?
And you can also share what you come up with as this need is being met. What emotion is there for you?
So pop your comments into the chat box and we'll read some of them.
Safety to be fully expressed.
Shit.
Somebody needs to mute. I think that was you, Roger.
Okay, so we're going to move on to a different part, and that is looking back at that same need list, go back to it and take a look at any needs that is not being met right now. This week, last 2 weeks, a month, just during this time, what is not being met right now? And find it, be honest with yourself about it. And I would say I'll speak this time about a need of mine, and then we'll go on if anyone has. So I noticed I had a need for rest or sleep, and I didn't have a very good night's sleep last night. So when I think of myself getting a really nice night of sleep, I feel happy and I notice a smile on my face, and I can imagine it and love it. So there may be very different needs that you have a need for on that list. Why don't we go back to it?
Sure.
And take a moment to notice that. I mean, like I felt sort of uncomfortable and ill at ease when my need for sleep isn't being met. But if it is being met, I'm sure I would feel happy and delighted. So well rested.
And sometimes it can be needs in the outer world. I'm noticing the need for honesty.
Yes.
And there's
exactly.
certain political figures who don't meet my need for honesty or my need for we won't mention names. And certainly, what's going on in the world too, what's happening in the Middle East, certainly doesn't meet my need for peace.
Right, exactly.
And again, want to invite people, put in the chat box which of your needs are being met and which of your needs are not being met. And again, we want to hear from some of you.
And you can also discover that there's an emotion when you tune into the need that's not being met. You will feel and tune into what emotions or feelings are around there that are, that are showing up for you. And Scott has some primary emotions on his little chart.
Yeah, this is the Love Coach Academy version. And you'll notice in the box, there are the primary needs. Those are the ones that come up the most often. And then the primary emotions: glad, scared, mad, sad, frustrated, confused. So when someone's need for safety isn't being met, they're probably feeling scared. When somebody's need for respect isn't being met, they usually are feeling mad.
Mm. So anyway, see what you can find and put something in the chat box, or we'll see if you're willing to share about that. Either what's been met or what's not been met.
So we do have some comments. Do you want to read them?
You have a need for mourning. So many deaths on so many levels.
Yeah, I'm mourning.
I share that. I share that need deeply. Another one, Deborah, you have a need for more compassion and empathy to be recognized as a valued skill set. I can't agree with you more, Deborah, about this. Yeah. And Teresa, a need for companionship. Well, that's also very important. And Susan Bloomquist, the peace external is a need not being met. The emotions this brings up our worry and frustration. I certainly have that too, and some anger as well. So
Richard has a need for more integrity.
Many people have come up with things. Wow.
Diara has a need for more stamina and vitality. And there's still more that are coming in.
Oh,
Sharon adds so many levels that she's mourning, including environmental concerns, which are at the top of her unmet needs.
Yeah, right. So when you choose to use needs, or you can call them desires, longings, preferences even, what can happen is people can hear you more easily. And nonviolent communication is a language that helps people hear each other and understand each other more easily. And there is also something which I, in my classes, draw from Gestalt therapy, where different sides of ourselves can listen to each other and understand each other better. And we're doing some of that role play work in a workshop I have on Sunday coming up in my beautiful home in Marin County here, on really understanding the different parts of ourselves. And that's a mix of nonviolent communication and Gestalt therapy work, or awareness work, you could call it. So, so another thing to be really aware of, and I'm going through the things kind of quickly, is that sometimes people are not fully aware that they use what I would call victim words to describe their emotion. And this can be disempowering for people. So if I was going to look, I have my little booklet here. If I was going to look at a common victim word, if I felt blamed, I feel blamed for this. Okay. So what emotion might I be feeling? Angry, scared, confused, antagonistic, hostile, bewildered, hurt. Any of these could be emotions connected with it. And then what am I really needing and wanting? What am I longing for? Well, I'm longing for accountability, causality, fairness, justice. Okay. And so what I observe when we do role plays is that people get to feel understood a lot more, and also get to feel practiced in sharing what's really going on more easily. And that's partly because it is a role play, and it's actually comes out kinesthetically in our mouth and our voice and our face. It's right there in front of also somebody else. So as I said, I'm excited about this workshop, and I'm limiting it to very few people because I really want to make sure everybody gets it fully, so that excites me.
Great. So, well, let's start with
I don't
talking
know
about the
where
workshop.
I'm
Yeah, we're going to go into now
Mhm.
all that you're offering, Lori. So
Mhm.
if people want to attend the workshop on Sunday,
Mhm.
do they call Sunrise Center?
Yes.
Okay,
But
so-
you have to call me too.
Call you
So,
personally?
Yes.
Okay,
Isn't
so let's put your phone number in here.
that- Okay.
So for more information, call Lori
Because I
at,
like to see if it's right for you, this particular one.
and what's your phone number again, Lori?
415-847-5950.
There we go.
And I just do these basically as a gift. I'm asking $30. It's from 11 to 7, and we bring a meal in a packed lunch and a towel for the hot tub if you wish. And it'll be a lot of fun and a lot of learning, really enhanced learning because it's a small group.
It's
And I
amazing.
have other people to help also.
I mean,
So that's great.
imagine a full day workshop with Lori for only $30 here at this gorgeous home in Tiburon.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to your website for a moment, and to learn all about Lori's offerings, go to sunrisecenter.org, sunrisecenter.org, and she has lots of classes and events coming up. And which of these would you like to highlight and talk about? Here's the embodied compassionate
Well,
communication.
we could highlight that for a
Yeah,
moment.
because that certainly is, of course, what you were just talking about.
Right. Mhm.
And definitely sign in and join the Sunrise Center. Oh, it's going to
Big
take me
heavens, I've
to
never seen that.
yeah.
picture
Did you know that you got to do that to follow? So that's interesting.
Huh.
Anyway, there it is, Sunday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And there's a whole description about what's going to be taking place. Learning how to empathize and to get your needs met, very similar to what Laura
And
was talking
win-win agreements between people where both people understand each other finally and can get going with it.
Beautiful. And let's take a look at some of the other offerings that you have at Sunrise Center. Let's go. Here we go. Come back to
And some of them also have online experience with Scott Connected.
That's right. That's right. We'll
And
talk
some
about
not.
that. Well, one of those, and this is going to be a hybrid experience. So I want to show people this. More and more, Lori and I are doing hybrid experiences where you can come to the live event taking place at the Sunrise Center, which is also in Marin County, or I'll be live streaming it to you, our Awakening World audience.
The movie also.
Yeah, well, that's going to be one of the
Yeah.
experiences
Mhm.
where on Sunday the 14th, a week from this Sunday, we'll be showing this movie about cancer conquest And then after the movie, having a conversation with Lori and Dr. Floyd Taub. So if you're in Northern California, join us live in Corte Madera, that's in Marin County. And for the rest of you, you'll all be able to live stream it. And this is a special extra Awakening World event, Sunday night, April 14th at 7 p.m. Also, Lori's going to be at the New Living Expo coming up the following weekend.
Right.
And what are you going to be doing at the expo?
Well, I'm going to be presenting on something with Tantra and sexual energetics, and also on more compassionate communication. I
And-
mean, it's shorter, a lot shorter than my weekend experience, but it's fun and worthwhile. And again, we do more role playing and sharing, dyad work.
And then the last thing I think we'll mention is, of course, a lot of our audience is very interested in what's happening with government disclosure of UFOs and what's happening. And Danny Sheehan probably knows as much as almost anybody. And he's going to be doing a very special event again at the Sunrise Center on Monday night, April 22nd. That's the night after the New Living Expo. And again, you can come and join us live, or I will be live streaming it out to our Awakening World audience. So put these dates into your calendars. Sunday, April 14th, actually 3 to put in. Sunday, April 7th, come join us live. Sunday, April 14th, join us live or online for the Cancer Conquest film and discussion. And Monday, April 22nd, join us live at Sunrise Center or watch us online, all about government disclosure.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Lori, for all these offerings.
Right. And as you grow interested in even more of what we'll be doing, we're also running a workshop at the end of June in Maui, Hawaii, called Celebrating Love and Intimacy in Paradise. So,
And I'm
Scott's
planning on to
gonna
be there.
there.
Yeah, I will be there. We'll see if we can arrange for little Jasmine Bear to make it. Little ghost dog coming in and out here.
I think they allow that at this point.
Yeah, we think so. Well, thank you, everybody. And I know it's kind of funny trying to get two people on Zoom together. Oh, there we
Yeah,
are. See, if we do it like that,
look
that
at
worked just
that.
fine.
We're just fine.
See,
with
that's
that.
the way we should have been doing it the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we are going to take a brief little break because it is going to be time for a new Omushar song. But before we do that, I want to pop the camera onto our beloved Eleanor Joy, because before we play music and Omushar song, we want to hear from you, Eleanor Joy. How are you doing?
Worse today than ever.
Oh, dear.
Really short of breath. Very discouraging, coughing a lot, and they still don't have a clue what's going on. And
Wow.
I'm very grateful for Waterfall for being here with me.
Waterfall, thank you so much for taking such good care of our beloved Eleanor Joy.
Yes. How long ago did this happen?
Oh, this has been happening very
Oh,
recently. She was in the
oh, very
hospital. Yeah.
recently.
Yeah. She was just in, you just got out of the hospital a few days ago, yeah?
No, I was in Nanaimo and transferred down to Victoria, and here I am. Still in hospital.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're still in the hospital. Wow.
Yeah. yeah. I came
Alright.
into Nanaimo Hospital a week ago, the week before Good Friday. And then I came down to Victoria on Good Friday, and I'm still here.
All right, well, as we have the camera on you, and I'm going to go to gallery view, let's all send maximum grace for Eleanor Joy. And turn on your cameras, everybody, so we can see you. Maximum grace for our beloved Eleanor Joy. Maximum grace.
Maximum grace, best you can be.
So I'm healing.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I did get the pacemaker put in yesterday.
Wow. Well, God's blessings. May your body adjust to the pacemaker, and may they find what's happening. And we love you so much, Eleanor Joy. You're a very precious and important part of our global
Very
peace
much
tribe.
so. Thank you.
Now you're gonna make me cry.
Oh, that's okay.
That's good.
Your tears are welcome. Your tears are
Yes.
welcome. We love you.
Gets the stress out.
And perfect, because we're going to go straight into an Omashar song. And ironically, it's called Trust to Love. So as Eleanor Joy is working it out, let's all remember to trust to love. And here is our beloved Omashar.
Nothing in my life's the same. It seems my world is falling into the dust that gave it birth. Empty feelings find me deep in contemplation, waiting for the rise of Mother Earth. And we all know what we've come here for, and we all feel that our hearts are true, and together we will make it home, and we'll trust to love once more. Walking through these fields of fear that before my attention, I don't live here anymore. I surrender to the flow that gives me new direction. All that's left to do is trust and fly. And we all know what we've come here for, and we all feel that our hearts are true, and together we will make
We can't hear you, Scott.
Thank you for pointing that out. I was just pointing out how perfect that song was for Eleanor Joy at this time. And it's really interesting because it just kind of unfolded. It wasn't like, oh, well, let's play because of Eleanor Joy. It was what I planned to play at this time. And anyway, I hope that it touched your heart the way that you touch all of our hearts. We love you so very much. And again, thank you, Waterfall, for being there to take such good care of her. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. A reminder, everyone, always remember to thank the caregivers. I work a lot with people that are dealing with death, dying, or illness. I always try and give as much love to the caregiver as to the person that's in the hospital or the person going through the hard thing. Because the person going through the hard thing gets more love. And meanwhile, the caregiver is like making the food and taking care of things. And so let's all remember to honor and love and appreciate all the caregivers in the world. And I'm imagining many of you have played the role of caregiver. In fact, I know many of you play the role of caregiver. All right. Well, we still have 2 more amazing guests. It's the first show of the season. I wanted to make sure that it was going to be a good one. And I'm really happy to be, and I briefly want to mention, Eleanor Joy, I'm going to be sending you a beautiful offering from Ellie. I'm going to go back to you for a moment. And just so you know her, Ellie, I'm putting you on camera too for a moment just to connect you to. Ellie is a world-class healer. She's been on the show before, and she's offering to provide you with some healing treatment. So Ellie, I just want to thank you for that beautiful, beautiful offering. That's very, very, very generous of you. Thank you. And we love and appreciate you very much for that. Thank you. And I will connect you to each other. All right. We are going to be meeting our next presenter tonight, and it's Donna Martine. And she's been watching the show from all the way back in the very beginning. Where are you, Donna? There you are. There you go. And she is a coach. And she reached out to me recently and said, Scott, I'd love for you to kind of let your audience know about my offerings. And I said, well, let's have you on the show. So, Donna, it's wonderful. I always appreciate people that have been with us for a long time. And just a little bit about Donna. She has spent almost all of her life involved with improving her health as a practitioner of nutrition, yoga, exercise, and spirituality. She has, like many of us, gone through a lot of lifestyle changes and has a really fascinating background. And so she's available to help us, and she's going to offer some wonderful tips, tools, and practices. So take it away, Donna.
Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate it. And I feel so honored to be here tonight with all of these amazing women and their messages. And you just gave me the perfect segue into what really triggered a lot of my holistic healing practice that I do with people. My primary clients are women 50 plus. And the reason for that is I find that women at that age have spent their time either developing their career, raising a family, oftentimes taking care of parents. It's that whole caregiving you were just talking about that I know men do it as well. Women seem to do it maybe a little bit more just because of the various family dynamics that happen. And what I noticed with women, and I went through this myself, so that's what kind of propelled me into this career choice, is I find that we get so involved in our caregiving and taking care of others that we lose ourselves. And oftentimes that means our self-esteem just is completely gone. It happened to me when I was younger. I wasn't even taking care of anyone at that time, including myself. I was working full-time. I was going to school full-time. I was just trying to do too many things. and neglected myself. I wasn't eating well. I wasn't doing anything the way I was supposed to. And finally, a friend of mine said, let's go try and exercise because we haven't been doing anything. We've been sitting. And I had gained quite a bit of weight, and so had she. So we went to an exercise class, and the two of us about passed out after doing 2 laps. And I was just appalled at myself because here I'd been like in track when I was in school, right? It's like, how did this happen to me? And then, so that got me propelled into nutrition. I started studying a lot of nutrition, a lot of different kinds of healing practices, Reiki, so many different things. And then later in life, I ended up being a caregiver for my husband, as well as my mother. And again, I got lost. I had a business and I was busy. And then I lost my business around 2008. And so I just had my husband at that time, and his health was failing. He had an acute anxiety disorder. And at that time, I had no idea what that was. There wasn't much research, and there wasn't anything I could figure out about it. And he ended up having a stroke. He had a TIA. So he ends up in the hospital, fortunately doing fairly well. But the downside of that is he went to probably one of the best neurologists at that time in the Bay Area. And all they did was put him on prescription drugs that were really harsh and propelled him into a future of years of just not really being able to function very well. And I was always there trying to help him. Let's go see this doctor. Let's do this, let's do that. And of course, he didn't want any of that. But then when he would end up collapsing on the floor, and I would have to get him up, and he was a big man. He was like 6 feet, 200 pounds. I'm kind of petite. So it was interesting, me trying to get him up off the floor. But at the same time, that's when I got to talk to him, because it was like, okay, now we're going to do it my way because what you're doing isn't working. So this was years and years of going through this. It taught me a very important lesson. And that is, if you don't want to take care of yourself, no one else can take care of you. He did not take care of himself. I was the one that would make the healthy meals, and he would go to the store and buy cookies and ice cream. And I'm not talking just once in a while. I mean, this was like a regular thing for him, that's what he would do, to the point that even his sister said, "Why do you keep buying that for him?" And I said, "I don't. He knows where the market is. It's amazing. He just gets in his car and goes and gets it." So, there are limitations as to what you can do for people. I learned that. Unfortunately, he has all these medications they had him on and things he was doing, and he just got worse and worse. And he did pass away 3 years ago. And it always bothered me because I felt like I didn't do enough. And at the same time, I know I did everything I could, and then right at the same time that he was still going through that, I had my mother that had lived a very long life. She was almost 105 when she passed away, but she had fallen. And so the last 3 years of her life, she was in and out of hospice, and I was the only one there because of family reasons. Nobody else was around. My mother and I had an interesting relationship. So when my older sister moved away, who she was very close to, my mom looked at me and says, "We're stuck with each other." Sad to say, but that was pretty true. So after she passed away, which was 2 years ago, that's when I became more involved again in health. And I had been a vegetarian most of my life, and I do fasting periodically. I'm one of those people. I enjoy fasting. I also recognize that many of the things that I do that may appear extreme to people, I do not promote for other people to do. I don't believe in that. It's like, I know there are carnivores in the world. You have to have your meat of whatever it may be. I like to introduce more plant-based diets into people's life because I feel that's not only healthier for you as an individual, but also for our planet. You know, we need to leave the beautiful cows alone. That's how I became a vegetarian. I fell in love with a cow. Oh my God, I looked at those giant brown eyes and I was just like, that's it. I can't eat one of you again ever. But as I say, that's me. So I work virtually with my clients. So when somebody comes to me, the first thing we do is we have a free consultation, and it gives me an opportunity to find out, what are your health goals? What are you really trying to accomplish? Do you just want to create a new exercise program, update a program, start exercising, a lifestyle change? Because basically when we start working together, it is a lifestyle change, because you are exercising, you're also eating differently, and you're aligning with your spirit. It's the body, mind, and spirit. They all come together. And so I love doing virtual yoga and meditations. I just find those so heartwarming with people. And if someone lives in my area, then of course we can do these things together. We can even go grocery shopping together. That's one of my favorite things. In fact, I'll share something with you. Some of you may know about this, some of you may not. There is a free app called Yuka, Y-U-K-A. You can download it onto your phone. You go into a grocery store. Now, I don't know about you, but I like having some frozen food in my freezer for an emergency. You never know when you're going to need it. So many times I would buy these organic foods, come home, they would be the worst tasting things I ever had. It's like, why would anybody make that? So now I have this app. I go in the grocery store, I scan the barcode, and the app says whether it's excellent, good, or poor. And if it's poor, you don't want it. And it can also give you an alternative and say, instead of this, maybe you should consider this. So it works on anything with a barcode. Wherever there's a barcode, you scan it. I scan things in the store I have no intention of buying, just because I find it so intriguing, and I'm always interested as to what's in it and why it may not be good. Of course, I know a lot of the reasons why. I guess I have a crazy life if I can enjoy that so much by going to a grocery store and scanning barcodes. But that's also fun to go grocery shopping with people and share those things with them as well, because I really do think it makes a difference in your life. You have to know what you're putting into you. And I tell people, if you're going to eat beef, chicken, venison, whatever it is, you need to know where it's coming from. If it's coming from a feedlot, you're doing your body a disservice. We have to love these bodies. These bodies are absolutely amazing. And the more we learn about them, the more they're like our superpower, because they can do so much for us. But if you're putting in antibiotics and all the things that they put in cows these days, and pigs, and all the things they're doing to these animals, you're not helping yourself. But if you buy from local, from grass-fed, from people who really do it properly, the whole process, you're eating an entirely different piece of meat. And if you put them side by side, you'd be able to tell the difference. It's that remarkable. The same is with fish. I mean, whatever it is that you're doing, try and go to the source, try and be as local as you possibly can. That is probably the best thing that I can tell you about doing that. And exercising, morning walks. I'm a morning person. I know some people aren't, so you can do evening walks. But walking is like one of the greatest exercises, and it's free. You just go out your front door and you're on your way. You don't need anything, but well, you don't even need shoes. You can just do whatever you want and go for a walk. So that's my thing. I just hope, I'm so grateful, by the way. I invited a lot of people and I know a lot of them are watching, and I really appreciate your support. And I just want to help as many women as I possibly can. It's just what I love to do. So thank you, Scott, for giving me this opportunity.
Quick question, Donna. What are some ways that people can find out about getting healthy meat for meat eaters? What are the best ways to get healthy meat?
I think the best thing to do is research in your area who has locally grown beef. And if it's not in your area, can you bring it in without costing an outrageous amount of money? A lot of times farmers markets have farmers that come in. I know our farmers market has people that come in and they're grass-fed, they're locally grown. So that would be one of the first areas I would try. I know in a large city that might be a little more difficult, but most cities have farmers markets these days. So I think you could do that.
And I know that you're in Colorado, so of course it's great if anybody's in Colorado. Almost
No, I'm in Arizona.
in Arizona, that's right. Prescott, Arizona. Prescott.
That's okay. We're close. We're neighbors.
So that's great for people that are nearby. And we do have some people watching from Sedona. But how do you work with people online? How is that for you, and how does that work?
I'm on Zoom all the time. So even when we do a free consultation, I set up a Zoom call. So, we can see each other and we can talk and we can just decide what is going to work for us and how can we do this. We also decide if we're gonna work together, once a week on a check-in. Some people starting out want to check in more often. It's like, I'm gonna go to the market today. Can I give you a call? And we can do a FaceTime on the phone as they're going through a market. So everything we do, I can do virtually. As I say, if somebody's here, it's nice to do it locally, but Prescott's kind of small, so it's usually all virtual.
Beautiful. Well, to learn more about her, we're going to go to her website, and it's her name, Donna Martine, MARTINE.com, where you can learn all about how you can change your life. And I tell you, a lot of what you talked about, Donna, I could use a lot of those skills, I got to tell you. And she provides a free consultation. So if you just click free consultation, fill in your information. And Donna, tell us a little bit what happens after they do that. What is the free consultation look like?
Once they submit it, then that comes to me and I can get in touch with them because they've given me their phone number and what part of the world they're in. So we can figure out time-wise what's going to work. And then we set up a time, and I like to do at least 30 minutes. If we go over, that's perfectly fine also. I don't put a time limit on it because I really want them to tell me what their goals are, what they're trying to achieve in their life. And it's an opportunity for them to decide if they want to work with me and for me to determine if I can work with them. Because as I say, if somebody really has to want to change themselves and be open to that. And I have run into a few people who say, oh yeah, I really want to do this, but then they really don't. They're very much into Western medicine, eating the way they've been eating, no intention of changing. And it's like, then that's a waste of my time.
Yeah.
So.
Donna, thank you so much. It's wonderful to get to
Scott.
know you. And I'm going to try and do that more often, have more of our long-term Global Peace Tribers come on and share their gifts and their services, as well as having, people like Raquel that we love so much. So, and speaking of that, we are going to go to our final presenter, our beloved Diarra. And of course, she has also been with us going way, way, way back. And Diarra does she's been for a very long time promoting a very important cause, spiritual diversity, especially in the educational system. So Diarra, first of all, thank you for being a wonderful support, especially while Omashar has been gone. She's been helping with co-hosting duties. She, of course, leads her little dance routine that she created for our opening song. But Diarra, tell us about this passion of yours.
Thank you, Scott. Hello, everybody. What a joy to be here and contribute. There's so many things that are important to me and many offerings, and the one that I'm speaking of tonight, spiritual diversity in education. It's something that was created in a teachable moment in the classroom. In those moments when we have the courage as educators to veer from the constructed curriculum, we're able to seize the moment to teach the kids or adults something that perhaps wouldn't have manifested otherwise. And in this moment, I was in the juvenile court school system, and I had kids discussing their belief systems. And I'm making a very long story short for us tonight. But the point in that moment was I was faced with a situation where I had one girl who had a very specific belief and mindset, and the rest of the class was very much interested in supporting her, but there was a lack of listening on her part. And I found myself in the moment managing this conversation, and my rules were peace and tolerance and love and kindness and respect. And it was like when we were speaking with Lori Grace, managing everyone's needs, managing conflicting needs in the classroom. And as the conversation went on, I found myself having to model all those classroom rules, patience and kindness and tolerance. And it was a 2-week process to have this conversation. And when it was over, I asked myself, well, what just happened here? What was this? Because it was very unusual. Now I'm working with gang members, and I'm not a stranger to conflict in that sense, but this was different. This had an element of delicacy to it. And I went home and I thought about it, and I started writing, and I realized that what we had done was created a conversation about spirituality beyond religion and the diversity of all the different spiritual essences that each person had in them. And I started talking about this to my colleagues. And, anytime I mentioned the word spiritual, this was in 1998. We did not use that word yet in our collective consciousness. And so it was heresy, to be speaking that. And even after I would explain, this was really conflict resolution, it was nonviolent communication. Later on, I came to see that it was actually part of restorative practices, restorative justice. It included all of that. And as I was expressing this, I started giving it to the teachers as a workshop. And one of the things that would come up is their wounds from their own educational history, their past. And then we would go on from that to to go deeper.
So I just muted everybody. Try unmuting yourself, Diarra, and hopefully whoever was having a little echo problem is now muted.
Oh my, and yeah, just going deeper. There was a lot of interference like that. There was a lot of resistance to this conversation, and people wanted me to change the title of it, and I just refused and kept going and going and going with it. And I realized that in the schools, we weren't doing a good job of addressing this part of kids, of the human being. We deal with the physical, we deal with the mental, we had begun to deal with the socio-emotional in the 80s and 90s, but there was nothing about addressing the spiritual nature and the spiritual needs of the kids. So that's basically what this conversation is about. I've turned it into a workshop. I turned it into a presentation. I was actually able to get it in as professional development in a major city, a school system, and had administrators, teachers, families come. And in the workshop, there's always healing that takes place. There's always room for us to discuss what normally can't be discussed in the schools. We would talk about astrology. We would talk about the different aspects of someone's chart, going back to Raquel's presentation. And we found common ground. We always found a way to be able to express ourselves authentically in a way that was safe. And I feel that this is my mission, is to bring this conversation into any school community that's ready to engage or at least entertain the concept. In restorative practices, we have different tiers of intervention before it gets to mediations. Restorative practices is a way of using nonviolent communication to help all parties see the cause and effect of actions and to take away from the blame and shame. And I think that if we're able to allow for the real human nature to be present in the schools and to create ways for people to talk about their different beliefs with respect, if we were doing this with the kids at such a young age that this was part of our regular conversation, we would have so many less problems, so many less misunderstandings. So it's also about teaching compassion and empathy. It's about making room for everyone at the table. And it is a way of moving us to the next iteration of who we're meant to be. If there's a listening for it, I also talk about the invisible nature of who we are as human beings, and can actually begin to teach about energy work and how there's a lot that we can ascertain from each other without the verbal, through nonverbal communication or even telepathy. So it's an opening for us, and what we're going to be seeing is more and more of science and spirituality coming together. I would love to see the quantum physics that we know about in our tribe in the schools. So in a way, spiritual diversity in education or spiritual diversity in the workplace, it's creating room for more authentic expression, as I said, and to give people permission to use the word spiritual. And what we find is that we're actually talking to the soul. And if you're a child and you're sitting in that classroom and maybe school's not your number one thing, maybe it's not what you're good at, but that person, that teacher, that leader sees you and knows you and can help you really blossom into the expression of who you are. What greater gift can we be giving? So it's not an easy task. Our schools are faced with teaching a lot of different things, but at the core, if we can address the essence of the spiritual nature. I have a quote, I'll just read it rather than pull it up, but the spiritual nature of a human being is by far the most invisible part of the whole. And to have an educational system where everyone is truly seen and every voice heard, we must include the topic of spiritual diversity.
Tiara, that's so beautiful. And a big thank you for the wonderful work you're doing. I'm going to read a few of the comments that have come in. Susan Blomquist writes, By addressing spirituality in schools, Tiara is bringing in a curriculum which validates students in other ways than testing. Really good point. Ayada writes, Tiara, yes. And we would also be creating a new healthy society as well. For what we teach our children becomes the societal norm.
I love that. And just a quick story. When I was teaching in my very early stages of my career, I was being me, and you guys know me pretty well by now. And my students would go, Teacher Debbie, you're so weird. You're so weird. And my feelings were really hurt, but I made a promise when I started teaching that I would never lie to the kids and to always believe them because they tell the truth. So I went home and I got my dictionary and I looked up the word weird, and it's of or pertaining to the bizarre or abnormal. And so I went back to the class the next day and I said, you know, guys, you're right. I am weird. I said, and I read them the definition. I said, but you have to realize that when the bizarre becomes normal, the normal becomes bizarre. And that's where we are.
So I should have renamed us. Instead of the Global Peace Tribe, it should be the Global Weird Tribe, perhaps?
Yes,
Yeah.
with the galactic in there as well.
With the galactic in there, exactly. Well, a way that people can learn all about Tiara's wonderful work is going to her website, which is right here. The short version is uri.com or universalresourcesunlimited.com. And Tiara, tell us a little bit more about where you want to focus people. Do you want people to know about Cosmic Kids Corner, or what do you want them to know about?
Thank you. Yeah, I've used my website sort of as a collection of a lot of my writing and philosophies. So feel free to grab anything from there that you might need to use to help forward your mission. In the video there, I talk about, differentiating instruction and some of the things I was doing to help kids. So that's kind of a fun video. On the blog below, I wrote something about whole person teaching. You're going to hear a lot about whole person education. What they're really talking about is the socio-emotional and not so much the spiritual yet, but I'm still working on it to get it mainstream. Feel free to join the mailing list. Up at the top, I also have different headings. We're looking at the home. I've got a testimonial there from one of my beloved friends that just talked about the different gifts. Under the health and wellness, I have a bunch of different offerings there. So you could click on that just to encourage people to do that. So a lot of interfaith activities. So on the surface, the spiritual diversity could be an interfaith conversation. I do a lot of work with that. I mentioned the restorative practices. I came up with the phrase integrated health and wellness because, again, we want to make sure we're addressing all aspects of the human being. So I listed a lot of what those things are underneath there. If you scroll down beneath that, also a hypnotherapist. That was one of the first things that I did when I started stepping out of the box as well. And then, of course, social-emotional academic learning. Scrolling quickly back up to the top.
Oh.
I'm watching the time for us, and we're on time tonight. I've got
Right.
exciting. The spiritual diversity there. It's just a brief introduction. I'm going to be writing a lot more about that. And then under the more button, and this is really exciting, Scott. I've never shared my website like this ever before. So each one of those headings, I've got different things. I talk about education as special. I ran the special ed department for the district for many, many years. World Bridger Productions, I also sing and write music. And then the SEAL is the curriculum that I'm working on. It's a curriculum for all ages, and that stands for Conscious Education for Empowered Lives. And then I talk about being lifelong learners. So have fun in the website. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the wonderful work you're doing. And last thing, since we got a couple more minutes, share with us one story that you can choose of how teaching spiritual diversity in the classroom changed a young person, changed someone?
Oh,
Mind.
I find in some ways it affects the adults even more than the kids. And I know very quickly for me in that teachable moment, when I was standing there, I was modeling for them non-judgment. And then I noticed I was having some judgment. And then I noticed I was judging myself for having judgment. So one of the things, this is called metacognition, or really looking at how we think, the self-talk. I've had families have huge healings when they're in there together. And for the students, they come away feeling empowered. And I see that over and over and over again in that sense.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Tiara, for being such a beautiful, precious member of the Global Peace Tribe. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott, and everybody.
So a couple of quick announcements, and then we'll close with an Om Shar song. You'll notice I've got the Illuminate Film Festival banner behind me, and that's because we're getting very, very close to the time of the Illuminate Film Festival. And so you can still join the online program. Just go to illuminatefilmfestival.com, illuminatefilmfestival.com. It's very inexpensive. They have amazing movies. You can watch them on demand, or you can just watch the whole program. It's only $65 to get all the online offerings. So let's support the Illuminate Film Festival. It's a great, great festival. Also, there's some really beautiful comments coming in. I just noticed. But Dia Therese is loudly applauding you, Tiara, for speaking out of spirituality. So she's appreciating you. Jasmine Bear, I think, just jumped up. She's also appreciating you. So you can say hi to Jasmine Bear, who has her new spring cut. What can I say? I'm a proud papa. So here she is with her new spring cut and her little sweater. But I know some of you are fans of Jasmine Bear, so I had to include her there for a minute. Karen writes, most people do think that we are weird, but I'm okay with that. Most people have never understood me. Maybe they will be ready in their next lifetimes, but hopefully they will wake up this time around. Well put, Karen, right on. Doug May writes, great presentation. Awesome work that you're doing, Tiara. Thank you, Doug. Ayada writes, thank you for sharing about the work you're doing. I had no idea how deep you were going. Awesome. Ayada continues with, you're in good company, Tiara. Most of us here at a boomer age have lived most of our lives being told that we are weird. But thank goodness some of us had the spirit to break out of the societal mold that we were born into. And we brought so many innovations plus social change to our world. Yay for weird people. And yay for meditation, yoga, and for some of us for psychedelics when we were younger, because that all helps, didn't it? Sylvia writes, really appreciate the telepathy and telepathy that we share. Karen wrote, this is much needed, but too many people are closed-minded and afraid that they would try to keep these things out of the school. So you really struck a chord there, Tiara. A lot of people really appreciating the work that you're doing. A lot of positive Global Peace Tribe love for you there.
Thank you. Any way I can be of service.
That you do. Thank you. All right. So what do we have coming up? A couple of things this weekend. This Saturday night, we've got an amazing show scheduled. It's another collaboration with Soul Search. And you want to make sure you're in the Zoom room, everybody, because we are going to have more psychic readings and healings with Kimberly Meredith, Light Codes by Laura, Amalia Kamateros, a new friend, old friend of mine, but new friend to Global Peace Tribe. Vox Angelis will be back doing her amazing Elohim channeling. And we have two musical artists live with us. Sean Galloway is coming back. Some of you will remember him from the Saturday Night Alive days. And a new friend, Sherry Howard, who just played live for me. I hosted a concert she did at the Haven last week in Ashland. So, and another psychic, Jared Mullins. So we'll have psychic readings, healings, So make sure you're in the Zoom room on Saturday night. And then I also want to remind everybody that on Sunday, for those of you who were on the show last Saturday night, you met our friend Nikita Gearing. That's a good friend of Kristen and myself. And she's got her monthly gathering. It's free. That Kristen Hoffman and I strongly support.
Not hearing you,
Yeah.
Scott.
Cancer treatments, all sorts of wonderful things. Somebody just said thank you, so you're welcome. All right, I am going to close us out with a final Omoshar song. And what a beautiful show it's been. Thank you, everybody. And here is our video once again. Well, come on. Well, that's funny. I pulled it up, but it's not playing. So let's try that again. Sometimes it gets a little confused.
And let me shine a light inside, and I'll show you where your truth resides. I'll lift your eyes up to the skies, and I'll prove to you that nothing dies. Together we will rise again, and we'll make amends for what we've done. I know you hear me, so please do not fear me, 'cause I'm here to lift you, restore you to glory, and love you and hold you and be your victory. My child, I will welcome you home. Welcome you home. So let me take your hands in mine, as I look at you, your spirit shines. You see, it's true that we are one, and we came out from the central sun. I know you hear me, so please do not fear me, 'cause I'm here to lift you, restore you to glory, and love you and hold you and be your victory. My child, I will welcome you home. Welcome you home. So when you take a different view, and you dream awake, breathe out the new. let me shine a light inside. And I'll show you where your truth resides. Lift your eyes up to the sky. As I look at you, your spirit shines.
There we go. I was having trouble finding myself. I've paused it on Om Shar because I'm going to follow Sylvia's suggestion that while we have this image of him up, let's send him lots and lots of love. We love Om Shar. What a blessing. Yeah, absolutely. He is such a gift, such a blessing in our life. And I see Lynn and Leaf. It's good to see Lynn. There's Lynn. Yay. I'm going to go to gallery view for a moment. Look at Lynn smiling away next to Leaf. It's great to see you, Lynn. We love you so much. It's great to see you. Awesome. And I'm going to go to gallery view for those of you who have your cameras on. And there's everybody, Carol and Doug and Bonnie and Roger and Mannion, Dia, Karen, Sylvia, Waterfall and Eleanor, Donna, Ellie, Midge, myself, Ayada, Tiara, Lynn and Leaf, and Susan Woolridge. So for those of you with the cameras on, thank you so much. For those of you with your cameras off, we still love you as well. It was a beautiful show, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you on Saturday night. Have a great few days. Take care, everybody. God's blessings. And remember to keep Eleanor Joy in your thoughts and prayers. And let's hold that vision for her throughout the week.